Welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Raquel. This podcast is here to help you experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Now, as I do every week, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a Bible scholar, pastor, teacher, evangelist. I am merely a God-worshiping, Jesus-loving, Bible-believing, New Thought Christian who believes that God will bless us according to our faith and how we work His principles. Now, this week, I'm doing something a little different. I don't have a guest. I am not going to share how God has blessed me. Well, that may come out. But I wanted to talk because this is our last week for this year, 2019. But it's also the last, week in the decade. That's deep. So we're starting a new decade. When I come back, when Bless comes back, we'll be in the new decade. So what I wanted to do is to kind of just share with you what I learned over this last decade. I hope that's okay. But I hope that it will still bless you. So, the beginning of this decade, I was in mourning. Because in 2009, my mother lost her battle with pancreatic cancer. So, we started the decade in 2010, kind of lost. My son and I, we were a little lost. That was a very, very, very rough time. But through it all, when I look back at it, we were blessed. We really were. And we were able to learn some lessons, especially me. I was able to learn some valuable lessons in that grief. So, I have about 3 main lessons that I learned through the decade. Number 1, love never dies. And this is for anybody out here that may have lost a loved one this year because it's new to you, or if you're like me, you lost your loved one at the beginning of the decade. You have to remember, love never dies. Now, as Christians, we talk about spirit, we talk about heaven, all of that. But we crumble when people die because their body is no longer with us. So we feel like they're gone, but they're not. And I only know it because of what happened for me. So I promise you, my mother has come to me in dreams. I felt her when I couldn't touch her, but I felt her. She talked to me, and this was not like something that happened before and I was just remembering. It was a whole new conversation that we've never had before. And so, my son watches these shows, the Japanese cartoons, and they talk about being in different, what's those things, different universes or things like that. And we're all connected, but we're in different realms and things like that. And it's just really weird because for her not to be here anymore, for us to have a totally brand new conversation that we've never had before, and I know that it was real. It felt real to me. And so I just really believe that love never dies. So that's the first part, that her spirit is still circulating and she's getting me the messages that she needs me to get. The second part is that her love is wrapped up in who I am. So her love could never die because I'm still here. And then when I'm gone, my son will still be here. And then when he's gone, his children are going to be here. And all of that, everybody that comes down the line will still have her love wrap around them because it made me who I am. It made my son who he is, and and so on and so on. So we have to think about that as we're loving on each other. And it's not just me and my son. My mother loved on a lot of people, a lot of kids. We constantly hear from people, and they still talk about what my mom did for them. They still talk about, how they are still using something that she taught them. She can't die if those people still have those things in them. if that makes sense. So that's the one thing I learned over this decade, and it helped me with my grief. So yeah, I still miss her. And there's times, especially at Christmas, when we used to watch Christmas movies together, and I'll watch a Christmas movie and I was like, man, she would like that one. And sometimes I'll say that, Mama, I know you like that one, but it's okay. I'm not destroyed like I was at the beginning of the decade. So there's growth, and I'm so blessed that I had a mother like that. Okay, so number 2, the second thing I learned over this decade. God is everywhere, equally present. Breathe that in. God is everywhere, equally present. Now, I remember growing up, they would say God is omnipresent. That means, he's everywhere. But I never understood that to mean that he was like the particles, so in everything that we see, God is in that. Everything that we don't see, God is there. Like God is everywhere, equally present. That means God is in me. It also means God is in you. So, think about that. If God is in me, then all those attributes that I talk about God, I have those attributes. When I say God is good, guess what? I am too. Because if God is everywhere equally present, if he's inside of me, then that means I am good, just like him. It's like God is strong. I am strong because God is here. I'm 50 years old now. And I'm thinking, I've been in church practically all my life. And it took me this decade to really grasp that God resides inside of me. Not just I'm a child of God, but he resides inside of me. So whatever he is, I am too. That's deep. And then the people around me. India Arie has a song that I just love. She said, I see God in you. And I think about that. It's like when I look in the mirror, sometimes I gained a lot of weight when my mother passed away. I gained 60 pounds over the time when I was watching my mom succumb to cancer. So I look in the mirror. I used to look in the mirror anyway, and I just be like, who is that? I just hated to look in the mirror. I hated the way I look. I couldn't see me when I looked in the mirror. And then when I start thinking about God is in me, and then I'm so much more than just this shell, this body, I'm spirit. And then so I look in the mirror and I try to look through my eyes and I try to see God. And I try to look past the flesh, the fat, even my pretty hazel eyes. I try to look past all that. I try to see God, because that is what I need to be focused on, the God in me, and then trying to exhibit God's love and his goodness and his mercy to everybody around, and to help them see that in them. So that's what I learned this decade. And now this next decade that is my goal, to really go around and help people to see the God in themselves. And I think once we see that, we won't have all this self-hate. And I believe it's the self-hate that causes people to pick up guns and shoot other people. Because because the Bible says to love others as you love yourself. I can't love you if I don't love me. We learned a song earlier this year. I love myself so much, so I can love you so much, so you can love you so much, so you can learn to love me. That's deep. So that's what I learned. So I learned to love me, the God in me, this decade. Yeah, that's what I learned. Now, I also learned, number 3, and this was the big one. I even wrote a book about this one. It's not enough for us in the church to go to church faithfully, religiously every Sunday. And some of us going on Tuesdays and Thursdays for Bible study, choir rehearsal. We go for meetings. We in the church all the time. We read our Bibles. We memorize scriptures. But it's not enough. You can even live holy, not doing anything wrong. It's not enough. We have to do two things. We have to elevate our thoughts. And let me talk about that one. So the scriptures that we read, right? The scriptures that we memorize, it just can't be something that we, like it's a regular book. It's got to be something that we like take hold on, that we really believe, that we elevate our thoughts. We have to think on those things. Now I'm going to say something and it's probably not going to be popular. And that's okay. Go ahead and send me messages because I would love to know what you think about this. But as African Americans, a lot of negative stuff happened to us in this country. Oh my, a lot of negative stuff happened to us in this country. And if you on social media, people gonna tell us about every incident there is. So what we do, we focus on that negativity. We focus on the fact that America is not for us. How we call it, America with the KKK. We focus on that. So then our focus is only on that, and we can't see past that. We can't see that we are the righteousness of God. We can't see that God is in us, that it doesn't matter what certain people think about us, we still gonna win. Even though we know it because we see the history, where we came from, and we still winning. We still winning. Regardless of, yeah, we lose some people along the way, but we already know that death is not a loss. Death is not an L, because our spirits don't go. We don't want to be killed, for sure. But we win. We are overcomers. We are winners. So let's focus on that. And so when we elevate our thoughts and stop thinking about only the negative stuff around us, and we start focusing on the positive, and we start elevating our thoughts and believing what God said about us, our life is going to change. And I know it's going to be difficult for some people to even get that. I already know that. But it's okay, because it's not something that it just happens overnight. It's like you got to think about it every day. You got to make a decision every day to focus on the positive, to elevate your thoughts, to come up. And I'm not saying to ignore what goes on. I'm not saying that. And there are some people who are called for such as those things to take care. Like my friend and classmate Ben Crump, God bless him. He was called for that. And it's a lot of other people that are called for those things, but not all of us are called. So we don't all have to focus on it. Yeah, we should be aware of it, but some of us have to be called for other things. Some of us have to focus on other stuff. Because it's a lot of stuff out there that needs to be done. And so I'm just saying we need to elevate our thoughts and think about what God said about us, and not what the other people in America are thinking about us. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard, I know. But think about that for a minute. Think about it. Everybody great, they thought something different. They thought something different. That's why they were able to go on and be great, because they elevated their thoughts. I always say, what you think about, you bring about. You got to see it before you see it. So it's all mindset. It's all our thoughts. It's important. It's very, very important. And I learned that this decade. Man, I wish I would have learned this when I was my son's age, 25. Ooh, I would have had that beach house by now. Yes, I would. Okay, so part 2 of that third we have is not enough to just go to church and read the Bible and memorize scripture. So once we elevate our thoughts, then we got to exercise our faith. Where is our faith? I remember people saying, oh, you must be so smart. You went to pharmacy school. No, I just got faith. I believe what God said, that I can do all things. That's faith. You can't just say I can do all things and then don't go out there and try to do all things. Now, when I say all things, I'm not saying go out and do everything, but the thing that you want to do. What all things mean to you? So I can do all things for me meant I could go to pharmacy school. You know, yeah, I got good grades in school, but I know people that got good grades in school. They didn't do, I mean, pharmacy ain't that easy. But I knew that I could do it. I had the belief, I elevated my, then I had to exercise my faith that I could do that. And so when you, especially people in the church, come on, what is up with us? We should be the ones out there leading everything. Our day traders should be people from the church, because you can do all things if that's the all things you want to do. So that's what I learned this decade. Now, even though I'm 50, it ain't too late. It's some all things that I need to take care of in this next decade. Getting this 60 pounds off of me. I can do all things. I don't put it out there. Now, of course, next people gonna be looking at me. I know y'all gonna be, but yeah, that's the stuff. I have to exercise my faith. I have to elevate my thoughts, which means that some of that stuff I shouldn't be eating, and some stuff I should be eating. And I have to exercise my faith, not just exercising my body, but I have to exercise my faith to know that I can do that. I have a bad ankle, so I have to exercise my faith to say, you know what? I can go out there and do some other kind of workout. I'm not going to focus on the negative of my bad ankle. I'm going to go out there and do something. I have to exercise my faith. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being simple right now, but it feels like I have something that says life is simple, but it's not easy. That's right there. Life is simple. If we focus on some of these things that we've been taught and exercise our faith and actually believe, it's that simple. It's not going to be easy. I know losing this 60 pounds ain't going to be easy. But it really is simple. I know getting me another job might not be easy. But it's a simple process that I have to do. I know it probably sounds to y'all out there that I'm oversimplifying things, but I don't think so. I really believe it's about how we think. It's the law of attraction. I really believe that we attract what we not just think, but what we truly believe. That's that faith. That's where that faith comes in. We have to really believe it. Like if you sit down in a chair, you have faith that it's not going to buckle up under you. You sit down. Most of us go out to our cars and we turn that key and we have faith that it's going to come on. That's how we got to be with all our life. We got to believe that we win. And then when we don't win, it's not really a loss, it's a lesson. So all we getting is blessings and lessons. That's all we getting, blessings and lessons. I feel like I'm talking a lot, but I hope people are listening, because I learned this in this last decade and I feel so good with the lessons I've learned. Every day now, Rosie. I lost my job in March. I haven't worked since then. God is good. My bills still getting paid. I'm still going on my vacations. I've had time to write other books. And I had time to do the podcast. All things work for my good. I've come to learn that over this last decade. Wow. This has been a good decade. I thought it was going to be really rough the way it started. But it turned out real good. And I learned a lot of lessons. So, I don't know how much more time I got. I think I've been talking for almost 20 minutes. So, I just want to leave you with a few things. So, what I've been talking about this last thing, elevating your thoughts and exercising your faith, that is in the book, Why Are Church Folk Poor? I know a lot of people don't like that title. And it's not about being rich, because rich is really relative. And when people say, well, poor is relative, no, when you say poor, you know what poor means for you. Poor means you don't have enough. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough energy. You don't have enough good health. You don't have enough love. You don't have enough friends. Because you're not just pouring money, you be pouring spirit, pouring health, So why are we poor? We don't have to be. All we have to do is elevate our thoughts to what God said and exercise that faith. Exercise it. Exercise it. If you don't do nothing else when you write out your resolutions, write out, I'm going to exercise my faith more in 2020. All right, and I do have I just came out with I just finished, it's not out just yet, but I just finished a journal, the I Am Blessed journal, because of this podcast. I want you every week to write down, every day, write down what your blessings and your lessons. And then every week, write a prayer of gratitude, thanking God for all that He has done that week. And then when you do that every week after week after week, and then when you get to a time when you just feeling overwhelmed and things not going good, you can go back and look at how God has blessed you. And then you say, if He did it once, He can do it again. And then when you see, that's one of my favorite songs is I've Had Some Good Days. I Can't Complain. That's the name of the song. I Can't Complain. And it says, my good days outweigh my bad days. I won't complain. That's deep. But sometimes we have to be reminded of that. So in this journal, and it'll be available on Amazon by next week. It'll be available on Amazon. It's I Am Blessed Journal by Raquel Tolson. And it's enough weeks in this journal for you to write out weekly for the whole year, to write out your blessings and lessons and your prayer of gratitude. And you can get that on Amazon.com. I Am Blessed Journal. And then last, but certainly not least, our new book, Ren's Bedtime Prayer. Now, I wrote on the back, it is important to reach to your children early to develop their brain and speech. It is also important to pray with your children early to develop their resilience. And I said it before, we need more resilient children. This is the first of a series of books, and it's the bedtime prayer, just to teach your children to be grateful and to see all the good stuff that has happened throughout the day. The same thing I'm asking you to do. So we're teaching our children in the bedtime prayer the same thing. So I really appreciate you listening to Bless this season. We will be back in January. I think the second week in January. We're just taking a few week break, and we will be back the second week in January. Until then, be blessed, and remember, what God has done for others, He will do the same thing for you. Thank you. See you next year. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Boxing Day. And Merry Christmas.